Good morning. As you may know, there are 169 cities and towns in our state, all with their own leadership and governments, but there has long been talk that there may be cost savings if towns near each other combine some services and split the bill. A couple of weeks ago, the mayors of the city of Hartford and the neighboring town of East Hartford announced the formation of a task force to look into that. Joining me this morning, Hartford Mayor Arunan and East Hartford Mayor Connor Martin. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks for having us on.
You're both relatively new to the job, so maybe you don't know this. We're not ever allowed to talk about sharing services in the state of Connecticut. I mean, other than tolls.
We've heard.
Other than tolls, this is the thing as politicians you're supposed to be told to avoid.
Yep.
Mayor Arulampalam, I want to start with you. How did this come about, and why talk about it now?
Yeah, we've gotten all that same advice that politicians shouldn't touch this. You know, Connor and I got elected the exact same day, almost exactly a year ago. Yep. And Connor came to my inauguration, and we sat down, we had conversations that led to more conversations. These are questions everybody has asked for a long time. 169 towns, 3.5 million people. Nobody, starting today, would create a state that way. And couldn't we create some shared efficiency, shared services at a time when all our municipalities are having trouble hiring up and filling positions? Could we share some back-end departments? Could we share some back-end functions and show that that creates an advantage for both of our residents? Both of our residents get better services out of it. We both save money as municipalities and are able to better serve our roles. And can we work together on something that really leads to solutions instead of talking about pie in the sky, ideas? These are real solutions that are going to help both of our communities.
So you and I have talked before about the idea that task forces can be dangerous things in the world of politics. And you gave me some examples last time you were here of actual things that were done in your city. Yeah. So you have 3 task forces you set up: shared services, shared vision, and shared tourism, culture, and entertainment. Mayor Martin, tell me what actually might come out of this. Like, what do you hope? Because politicians do a lot of task force talking, but what do you hope comes out of it?
And going back to what he said, all we're doing is listening to our residents. Our residents have tasked us with the task of lowering our budgets, decreasing taxes, and figuring out better ways that we can deliver services. We're just taking a creative step to figure that out. And it's not a new step because we have other municipalities, smaller municipalities in Connecticut that are already sharing services. And so I want to just really touch on what this isn't, and it's not combining and creating a one Hartford. It's not about combining departments. It's not about solving one municipality's problem over the other. Arunan and I have come in with a win-win approach. How can we work together to achieve a common goal? It's not about control. It's about finding those budget savings, expanding access to services. So when we think about shared services, and I want everybody to frame it in their mind in 3 different buckets. We're looking at shared positions, shared functions, as well as shared infrastructure. And when we look at shared positions, it's really for the purpose of filling vacancies that both of our municipalities are having trouble filling. It's about sharing the cost of that employee as well as the time. And I use building inspectors as a key example of where not only Hartford and East Hartford, but other municipalities are struggling to fill building inspectors, which is a key position to moving projects along in our municipality. Instead of trying to fill those individually, why not share them? And so when you look at shared function, it's a matter of shared programming, shared events, and even administrative functions such as purchasing, where we might be able to purchase things together in bulk, which may result in a cost savings for both of our municipalities. And then there's shared infrastructure, which is probably more key to public safety and DPW than anybody else. And I want to note that public safety, police and fire are 2 of the departments that are already sharing services quite a bit, whether it's mutual aid that we're sending to each other's municipality, or even the state's regional auto theft task force that brought together a number of municipality personnel and resources that worked outside of their borders to address auto thefts in the state, and it was extremely successful. But when you think about PD, it could be a shared firing range. For fire department, it could be a shared training facility or a burn building. And in East Hartford, we're looking at building a truck wash facility where right now one doesn't exist except for, I believe, MDC. Why not build a regional one where, once again, we can share the cost as well as share the use of it?
So that's the key word, right? That word regional, that's what gets people here all. We don't do it that way, guys. Yeah. But I looked at, if you Google regional Connecticut, you get 9 million news stories. And I found an op-ed that State Rep Jason Rojas actually wrote November of 21, so just about 3 years ago. And he talked about the visceral reaction you get, but he cited a whole bunch of examples, like the probate courts being going down from 117 to 54 is a big success. Health districts, he said, could save $25 million if there was more consolidation there. So what are you telling people in Hartford, Mayor, about what may actually come of this?
Well, and I'll say, talking about action, just a week and a half ago, we got about 40 employees together from both of our municipalities. They sat in one room for a chunk of the day and talked about how they're running their departments, where they have capacity, where they need capacity, and where we can work together on things. And so they're just, common sense solutions to a lot of back-end functions that city residents don't think about every day, but that impact them in so many ways. When it takes longer for us to process licenses at the City of Hartford, that means it takes longer for businesses to start up, and businesses don't want to start in the City of Hartford because of it, or they run out of money in the interim. And so if we can work together and share capacity so we can more quickly address that, people are going to see more coffee shops sprouting up in their neighborhoods. They're going to see those small businesses started by their neighbors getting up and running and successful quicker. And those small common sense solutions are really where we're starting. And we think in 6 to 8 months, we're going to have a set of recommendations that we're going to start implementing. So we're setting an aggressive timeline for ourselves too. And that's with shared services, shared contracts. We have a number of things. We're buying the same stuff. Why not create economies of scale and get savings on both sides of the river? Why do we have scooters that you can drive right up until the Founders Bridge, but you can't drive over into East Hartford? Every time I drive into West Hartford, I see a whole line of our city scooters there right at the border. Can we share some of the things we're doing together? And then a vision. Connor and I both talked about. We think that the Hartford region, the capital region, should be the premier destination between New York and Boston, and we can't do that unless we work together. And it's about building a region. It's a region of 1.2 million people, all of whom are impacted by what happens in our city of Hartford and within our partnership. And so it's about building a stronger region and a vision for who we can be that makes us a premier destination for the state and for this larger region.
Mayor Martin, we only have about a minute left, but I want to ask you, do you have a feel yet, and either of you can jump in, I guess, for the logistics to make this happen? Will it depend on the ideas? You're going to have to go to voters. You're going to have to go to your town council, city council. What has to happen next? We have like a minute left.
Well, it's got to start with the open-mindedness. Everything we're just exploring right now to see what those possibilities are. I'm pretty sure we'll have to engage our unions at some point, as both of our workforces are very unionized. And at the appropriate time, we'll bring them in. It may include shared agreements, may include shared contracts. The logistics are still being ironed out as we just explore where are the opportunities for us to actually look at partnering. And I think Arunan said it best. At most, and we saw this during the first task force meeting, it's just getting people talking, getting people to start building a relationship and start working toward a common goal. And I think that's at minimum what we're going to achieve. Everything else is going to be such a benefit to this.
And is it sometimes just saying this stuff out loud, maybe people will stop having that visceral reaction Representative Rojas worried about?
I think once they start seeing solutions, once they start seeing this as less of a threat and more of a benefit for both sides of the river, for both of our towns, a cost savings and better and more efficient government, they're going to see that this is really a benefit to them.
Well, you've talked when we talked about it, having results from these task forces. You know where to find us. Sunday mornings, 8:30. Come back and tell us about it once you have those ideas. Connor Martin, Arunan, Arulampalam, thank you both for being with us.
I appreciate it.